Welcome to the New Leaf podcast, and on today's episode I'm joined by a guy you might have seen before. It's Riz Malik from R3 Mortgages, well-known mortgage pundits and IFA pundit on Sky News and other TV channels.
I think we've done Sky News it's coming up to must be 20 times now, talking about interest rates and house prices and market movements. So it's been an incredible journey.
Today we're delving into some subjects that will be useful for the listener who's interested in building a business in financial advice. I'm really interested to hear about your story, Riz, because you've got a very special business where you started as a mortgage advisor and you've transitioned into becoming an IFA business. How he grew the business from 0 to 1,000 clients. 1,000, so you've gone from 2014 0 to 1,000.
Over 1,000, and it's hard to keep in touch with them on a regular basis.
That's mad.
Especially if you don't have, anything to talk about them specifically, if the mortgage is within a 5-year deal or anything.
We're going to look at the way he approaches marketing and social media in particular, and his relationship with the press. And you run a successful podcast yourself, The Broker Collective, which I know recently hit #1 in the financial services podcast in the UK. So listen in and enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the New Leaf podcast, and today I'm with Riz Malik. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks very much for asking. We're obviously here talking about building a business in financial advice, and I'm really interested to hear about your story, Riz, because you've got a very special business where you started as a mortgage advisor and you've transitioned into becoming an IFA business. So I wanted to start with, what was the thinking behind that move?
Well, let's start at the beginning, Dan. In West Philadelphia was where I was born and raised. In the playground is where I spent most of my days. No, Dan, great to be on here, and thank you very much for having me on. Dan, the reason we originally set up the mortgage business, it was back in 2014. I was working in the city as a financial advisor. I just finished my MBA, and I actually wanted to set up another business. And I knew that would take some time. So until the cash flow started coming in, I thought, why don't I stick to something that I know? And that's when we set up R3 Mortgages back in 2014.
Yes.
Started then, and initially the business that I wanted to do very quickly turned out that business had no future. But on the other side, the mortgage side was taking up, and the word was getting out. So I quickly abandoned one and jumped on the other one.
And you've obviously, you said you started that in 2014.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't, you were an advisor previous to that obviously as well, but I think you used to be with a DA business as an advisor on a DA type business, was that right?
Before I came to New Leaf?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I started advising, I went to join a friend of mine, an ex-colleague who I used to work with at one of the banks, and he made it easy for me to start with him. So I went and joined him. And in fairness, I would have probably stayed with him because I'm quite a loyal person. But he decided to retire and exit the business. And that's when I started looking around and looking at the various networks that are available, and we started having a conversation.
I guess that's the risk for some advisors that, they were under DA businesses sometimes, very comfortable doing well, but because that principal-led risk if they retire, and we've seen it loads of times before, they retire, and that does leave you in the lurch a bit. So having your own business now as an AR of New Leaf, which is fantastic, thank you, by the way. Was that an easy decision for you to make when you joined us?
No, Dan, it wasn't an easy decision at all. And I know we had a number of meetings and lunches, and I think you guys thought that I wasn't going to come on board. But from somebody who'd been settled at a network, one of my biggest fears was joining a network and not being happy there. Because in my career, I've had a similar situation in the past. So that's why I was really concerned about making sure that I did my due diligence ahead to make sure that it was the right step. And thankfully, I'm still here today and loving every minute of it.
No, that's great to hear as well. But I know it's a really big decision for people when they're looking at choosing a network. And it is a huge deal because you make the wrong choice, you go with the wrong partner, and it can ruin your long-term ambition and plans. And I think for yourself, with us, it was very much you wanted access to that IFA space, commercial finance space, which maybe you don't get elsewhere, and also opportunities to recruit as well, potentially from that. So I think that's what you've achieved by being with us, and that's paying dividends today.
One of the main reasons that I joined, which is the same reason as a lot of people even still join today in terms of coming towards moving over to New Leaf is because you have access to all the different permission areas.
Yeah.
I've got friends with other networks who are telling me about the horror stories of what they've got to hand off to other people. It was like, why? You can do the business yourself.
Yeah.
And I think going forward and making a financial advice business in 2025 going forward, I think that's really key. Clients do not want to have multiple touch points. They want one person to solve their problem. Even if underneath you're going to make it happen or pass it on to other people within your team, they want to work with one firm. And that's something that was really important to me.
So talking about your business, Riz, you've obviously got a growing IFA arm now as well, a very good mortgage company. There's clearly a lot of businesses out there doing what you do. So what makes your company different?
Okay. There's a few things that I would say makes us different. We've been doing mortgages forever. We've been dealing with portfolio landlords forever. And now moving over into the IFA world, a lot of people are keen to dump the property side as soon as possible and just focus on the IFA world for a number of reasons. And I can understand that. But how many IFAs are there who truly understand the needs of portfolio landlords? I've gone through my back book since becoming an IFA, and my God, are there a number of clients who have got massive potential issues that they need to address, that we've started to have conversations with them. So I don't think that as a weakness, as if an IFA who also does do mortgages, I think that's a really a big strength, considering of how many people are still invested in property.
That's a really good twist, because I think, we say this as well. Actually, to be a successful IFA, you got to forget about mortgages.
Yeah.
You got to really just go for it on the investment side only. But what you're saying is actually one of the unique things you have is those clients you bring on the mortgage side are very much the ones you're targeting for your investments as well. So that is interesting juxtaposition to what we tell people normally, isn't it, as a network?
A lot of my clients are from or have an Asian background. And also for some reason, we deal with loads of doctors as well. And a lot of their wealth is in property, purely because when their parents came to this country originally in the 60s and 70s, that's how they grew their wealth. So just completely abandoning, the fantastic portfolios and the wealth that they've built up in property, it's now time to revisit that with a financial planning hat on, which is something maybe a mortgage broker couldn't do, or maybe something an IFA who doesn't do mortgages may not have the understanding of.
So you've obviously got some really varied clients then, because of the way you position your business. What is the example of you giving an amazing customer experience?
Let's just say last week, at the 11th hour, somebody was introduced to me. A family member of theirs' property was on the verge of being repossessed for a number of different reasons, partly because of how the family had planned their affairs and the property. And we managed to find a solution within a very short period of time, helping that person keep their home. So those types of things. In this job, it's so easy sometimes just to look at deals in front of you. You've got to remember that there's a person at the end of it, whether it's a mortgage transaction, whether you're looking at someone's investments, their retirement planning, there's a person at the end of it. And for that client, I know that we achieved a really good outcome.
And I think people, as you say, are very important to us as businesses in this industry right now. To be a people's champion, to be a community-based business is going to be the way it works. But we've got this thing around the corner, or maybe not even around the corner. AI is with us now, and maybe it's with us more than we actually realize. And there's lots of advisors out there who are worried about the threat of AI to the role they play in the transaction process. So do you feel there's an issue there for you and your business going forward, or what are your thoughts generally on that?
I'm so excited about AI.
Okay.
Because of the way that it can improve the client journey.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people are scared of it because they don't understand it. And I would urge anyone who's watching this episode to really go out and start doing some research if you haven't done so already, or maybe within your own company to have a champion, an AI champion, to go and do the research, because it really is going to help improve how we deliver our experience to our clients. Now, the reason that I say that is because technologically, things are moving so fast. We do have a situation where sometimes We may not keep in contact with clients as much as we should do. We get busy in the day job. Weeks can get filled up very quickly. AI can make sure that your clients are communicated with on a regular basis. And that doesn't mean that you're going to stop doing your job. It's just a complement to your business rather than something that's going to work against you. And I think financial advisors who are scared of AI really need to open their eyes to the opportunity that's going to be out there, or they're going to get left behind.
Well, okay, yes, that's a fair comment. And your business, you're well known not just locally, but also in industry as a whole. You have a very unique way of marketing of your business. I'm interested to hear your story to how you got into the news and how you broke into, to become a well-known public figure as well.
That was all down to my relationship and experience with the Newspage platform that I know that we're members of. Back in 2022, when rates started spiking up around the time of the mini budget, I joined Newspage, and the guy who runs it, Dominic, shout out to Dominic, he called me once when I came back from the gym, believe it or not, in the morning, and he said, "How do you fancy being on a panel on Sky News?" And I said, "Yeah, all right then." Never done anything like that before, didn't really know what it involved, but I zoomed in. They were doing roadworks outside. My wife had to go and ask them to turn it down because my husband's going to be on the TV. So we did a panel discussion, and at the end, the reporter came to me and she said, "Well, what do you think needs to happen?" I said, "I don't think we need a change in Prime Minister, but the position for the Chancellor needs to be re-advertised." And they ended on that note. And then afterwards, it just went on from there onwards. I think the Huffington Post was saying financial professional calls for Kwasi's resignation. And 2 or 3 days later, he was gone. So I'm not saying that I changed the UK's political landscape, but you're welcome. Since then, it's just literally been a situation of keeping on with Newspage. They've done fantastic work to help me get into the media. But on top of that, keeping the relationships with the journalists and the newspaper editors, and also the TV editors. I think we've done Sky News it's coming up to must be 20 times now, talking about interest rates and house prices and market movements. So it's been an incredible journey.
And this is amazing exposure for your business. But have you seen that sort of exposure actually relate to sort of more turnover for your business?
Yeah. So I think this is something that people think just by being on TV and being in the media is really going to catapult your business and take it to the next level. It's not, okay? You could be in the newspaper every day, but it's what you do with that information. If you've got that clip, you've got to take that and repurpose it on your own social media and get it out there. Because how many people are going to watch, let's say the news at 8:30 in the morning on any given day? Not many. But if you take that clip and repurpose it and then get your own comments out there, that's where the word goes on. You have to be your own marketing person. No matter, we are in the marketing business, whatever anybody says. As independent financial advisors, I could be the best financial advisor in the world. If nobody knows about me, what's the point?
And I'd say to people who are listening to the podcast today, especially at New Leaf, I think we're quite a grown-up network in terms of compliance on these things as well, and the way we approach social media and new forms of marketing in particular. So I think that helps when people are with us. They can react to things quickly and they can really get their message out there as well.
I think you've set out the guidelines. There's a common sense approach. You know that if a journalist is asking for a response to a breaking news story, trying to wait 48 hours to get it through, the news cycle's moved on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to get out there, get your point across, be factual, don't obviously give advice. You have to be careful of what you say. But if you're responding with your experience, then you need a common sense approach. Waiting 48 hours for compliance to give a response to a news editor who wants to get a story out, it just isn't going to work.
These are questions that people should ask networks when they look at the join, because I think they always focus on numbers and not necessarily on the detail that really do impact how they want to do business. So it's definitely a good thing that you've mentioned that as well. I just want to move on to your growth, because you were talking about the firm has grown. I know that you're building a team at the moment. You're building a team. How have you approached that in terms of making sure that people are aligned to your vision, your culture? How have you found that process?
I think that's really important. Making sure people, your staff and your team are aligned to the culture is the number one thing that's going to help your business succeed. I tell all of my staff that all of our clients should feel like they're flying Emirates first class. That's
Oh,
what
awesome.
we're aiming to.
I love that.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
And if Emirates is out there, then chuck some air miles my way. But if they can feel like they're getting a first-class service, if you're charging fees or anything like that, it's going to be justified. It's where you're charging people and not delivering the return.
Yeah.
That's where the issue is. So we've gone quite heavy in terms of having an admin, case managers on mortgage cases, for example. I've got now a member of the team who works with me on the wealth side as well, just as an outbound to go through all of the... We've been going since 2014. We've got 1,000+ clients. It's hard to keep in touch with all of them.
So hang on, 1,000. So you've gone from 2014 0 to 1,000.
Over 1,000, and it's hard to keep in touch with them on a regular basis.
That's mad.
Especially if you don't have, anything to talk about them specifically, if the mortgage is within a 5-year deal or anything. But again, we're not just mortgage brokers.
No.
We're IFAs. There's a million things that we could talk to people about. And I say to my clients, and when we're making the calls, give us 15 minutes, and I'd be very surprised if I don't come away with a suggestion or something for you to consider that's going to improve your overall finances. And that's the biggest problem that I've had. A lot of people still think of you as the mortgage person. We're much more than that. Yeah. But it's going to take time to communicate that to our clients.
Oh, definitely. But you know what, you harked on a real important issue in service.
Yeah.
And I've said this a long time, that I think that customer service generally is lacking sometimes in our industry. I think sometimes we take our clients for granted because, especially in the mortgage game, they need the mortgage. They often need the broker to get the mortgage. The sort of service in between is maybe left to be, desired. But that fantastic service you offer is what really makes a difference. And if you're brand new as well, a brand new advisor coming into this, my one bit of advice to them is to, customer service from day one is going to set you apart from someone who's been doing it 40 years.
I think it's customer service and also its relationship. I'm very fortunate. I started my training working for some of the world's largest banks, and I had some fantastic training. Relationship is key. At the moment, a lot of banks are trying to minimize their contact with clients on the high street or face-to-face, moving them more to digital channels. And I can understand that. And look, in 2025, that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
But Riz Malik can differentiate himself from the advisor at the bank or something like that by having that conversation with the client. I know about their children. I know what they're planning to study at university. I know about the wider family. The one thing I love about my business is when we're not just dealing with the parents, we're dealing with the children as well. You've done a really good job when the parents say, look, Riz, we want you to be dealing with our children and our wider family as well. And that's the thing which I think, as a financial services business, plus AI, plus customer service, you can really capitalize on.
And despite that, over 1,000 clients in just over 10 years, incredible. Obviously, you still need to plug that gap with human beings and more advisors. And I know you've done that really well. But I can think of one particular example where you've taken on almost a brand new advisor and you've really supported someone at the ground level, which I think is quite commendable. And you don't mind me saying, that person was from the New Leaf Academy and you almost headhunted her out of there. What have you found that experience for you, like taking on someone new who you can really help and motivate and give all your time to?
I've never really managed a team before. All my previous jobs were basically just dependent upon my output and the things that I did. So it's not a skill that comes naturally to me. But over time, the one thing I am able to do is share my experiences on deals, on cases. And in this scenario, you may want to consider this, that, and the other. Yeah. And that's what I think that we bring to the table. Obviously, any new advisors who are coming into the industry, the olden days used to have the banks recruiting, get them through the qualification. Then after a few years, they might decide to go and join a financial advice practice. That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
The banks aren't doing that. So the academy that you're referring to, the New Leaf Academy, we've had a great member of the team join. She's in her second year with us at the moment, Liz.
Brilliant.
She's fantastic. And I'm waiting for you guys to give me more people. That's the only thing stopping me at the moment. She's come to me, ready trained. She knows what she's doing. And then it's down for me to work with her to develop. And I learn from her just as much as she learns from me as well, which is something I love.
Well, that's the credit to you as a leader as well, that you appreciate that. I mean,
Can you
looking,
just say that bit about the leader as well, please? just so I can cut it up and share it with my mum.
you're a fantastic leader. We all love you. No, so looking back, looking forward, even if you were to offer your advice to a new advisor in this space, if it's mortgage broking or financial advisor, what would you say to someone who's looking to get into this business and scale it over the long term?
Have reasonable expectations, okay? In the first year of my business, I was wondering whether my phone had been cut off because nobody was calling it.
Yeah.
And I had this perception that my phone's going to be ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And you had to go out there and you had to foster your relationships and you had to get out there and you had to go to the networking events. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And tell people what you do and really get your name out there. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes people want things quite easily, or they see you getting a number of referrals, but they don't see the hours and the nights that you've put in getting the business to where it is today. So be patient, but be persistent, and also be realistic with your goals. Because if you can get past that first year, it does get easier going on from there onwards. So that's the one piece of advice I'd give anyone coming into our industry.
And following on from that, what would be like, if going back to your business, what was a core strategy that you did that has helped you grow the business over the last 10 years?
I'd say the one thing that we've done that's really helped us grow is to keep in touch with our clients and just tell them, look, we're here to service you, to service your family. We really appreciate the business that you give us. And if you need any advice or anything, you can contact us as and when. Now, sometimes I deal with a lot of doctors. I get WhatsApp messages at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get them in the evening. I get them at the weekends. You've got to play to your audience essentially, but you've got to be out there and be available. You can do this job 9 to 5 and have a great, life and a great existence. You have to set yourself apart. And for the clients that we deal with, a lot of professionals, the main thing that they lack is time. They're time poor people. You have to make yourself available. They're going to come to you with problems. You need to find the solutions. If you can do that, you'll get on no problem.
Excellent. And near the end now of our podcast today, and it's been a great episode so far. Thank you. The tagline for this podcast is turning over a new leaf in financial advice. And we're interested to hear from all our guests, what was the one new leaf that you've turned over or that you're turning over that you've put into practice going forward? Well,
a few new leaves that we're turning over. One is that we've recently completed the new leaf will writing training.
Excellent.
And the course and everything. So now we're helping clients with the wills and the estate planning, which I think is a fundamental part to the financial advice process. Again, it's something where they can come to us and we can make sure that it's done. And also in the politest way, keep on telling them that they need to do something. Yeah. Because again, a lot of people bury their head in the sand. So that's a new part of the business that I'm really excited for. We're also keen to work more closely with growing businesses as well. That's something that I'm quite passionate about, doing more in the corporate space. Mm-hmm. We're already working with a number of very fast moving companies, and it's very exciting seeing their trajectory and their success. Nice. And again, I love learning, so you can learn a lot from other business owners and entrepreneurs.
Some great new leaves there. Thank you very much. For people listening today, where's the best place to find out more about your firm and yourself?
You can contact us via the website, r3wealth.com, formerly R3 Mortgages, or you can get in touch via LinkedIn. I'll be on TikTok more and more, doing taking advantage of that platform, which I think more and more people should do. But yeah, if you want to, that's how you can get in touch.
And you run a successful podcast yourself, The Broker Collective, which I know recently hit number 1 in the financial services a podcast in the UK, I believe.
It did, yes.
Tell us a bit more about that one.
We started it around the time when mortgage interest rates were going up really quickly. And the Broker Collective's aim was basically to be the mouthpiece of clients and brokers to lenders, saying if you're going to withdraw products very quickly, please at least give us a bit of notice. Yeah. And that's how myself, Lewis and Jamie, who also are on the podcast, got together. Every fortnight we record. I know you've been on here. I know Chris Nairn's been on here. I'm going to work hard and get the other new leaf onions on there as well. But yeah, we have people in our industry come on and shoot the breeze. We talk about what's going on, what's happening in the market. My background is in economics. I love talking about the financial side as well. And we really just basically, it's a good venting area to get things off our chest and also to share best practice as well. Because there's enough business in this country for us to all succeed and do fantastically, we shouldn't share the things that are working for us.
So for anyone...
we should share, not shouldn't share.
So for anyone,
unless they're really good, then you should.
Or anyone listening then who wants to listen to something topical and from the real people involved in the business, then definitely check out the Broker Collective. Riz, it's been amazing to have you on here as my guest today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on the new podcast, and we'll hear from you and see from you very soon.
Take care.